We were all convinced that going to college would set us all up for a life of freedom and prosperity. We studied for years, landed ourselves in tens of thousands in debt, only to come to the grim realization that it was all done in vain. No job, no skills, just a useless piece of paper and a mountain of debt. This is the modern college experience for most people. A complete scam. When I was like 18 years old and about to graduate high school, I had two options. I'd either be a winner and go to college, or I'd be a loser and didn't. So of course, going to college is exactly what I did, and holy shit have I come to regret my decision. Now, growing up, boys, I wasn't a bad student. I did enjoy some subjects like history, English literature. My grades were okay and I didn't really cause any trouble. But I mean, it should have been obvious to everyone around me at the time, parents, teachers, etc., that there were certainly better options for me out there than going to college. Even going straight into some sort of 9 to 5 would have suited me much better than paying a fortune and wasting 3 years of my life pursuing some bullshit degree. You know, boys, I remember in my last year of school, I had this careers advisor. It was some dumb fat bitch, and I know it's not nice to name call, boys, but honestly, this bitch was fat and she was stupid and she was just awful and fat. She was really fat. She did not give two shits about any of the kids in her class, not even one. And I'm being completely serious when I say this, boys, right? So this one time, all the kids that wanted to apply for college were supposed to have like a lesson with her in which she would advise us on how to choose the right degree, okay? And no word of a lie, boys, like I swear to God, this bitch literally just put on the movie Monsters University for us all to watch while she just sat on her phone in the fucking corner of the room. Honestly, this bitch was so useless. I wouldn't be surprised if universities were like paying her under the table to just subvert kids from finding out what they actually wanted to do with their lives, instead like coercing them into going to college for useless degrees to becoming trapped in like mountains of debt by the system. That's just a theory of mine, but I wouldn't be surprised. When it came to choosing which career I wanted to pursue for the next 40 years of my life, like 99% of kids my age, like I had absolutely no idea. And my terrible careers teacher did not fucking help. It's such a huge decision for some retarded 18-year-old to make. Yeah, sure, there was that one girl in your class who, you know, wanted to become an architect since she was 5 years old. But those types of people are complete outliers. I mean, most fully grown adults have no idea what they want to do with their lives, you know. Never mind some random 18-year-old kids still in high school. While scanning through the websites of universities I was considering applying to, I randomly came across some engineering degree. And no, it wasn't one of the good ones where you know, build bridges and stuff like that, but an engineering degree that was in relation to stuff like television and broadcasting. And because 18-year-old Tristan really liked watching movies and live sports, I thought to myself, yeah, fuck it, I'll just do this. Honestly, boys, I probably thought more about what I was going to order at McDonald's that weekend than I did choosing the career I'd be stuck in for the next 40 years of my life. Then I sent off my application, and like a month later, I was accepted. I mean, of course I got accepted, because universities literally accept anyone these days. You know, boys, I had all these preconceived thoughts of what college would be like, albeit I mainly got these from books and movies. I picture myself studying in some old historic building. I thought that my peers would be super smart and mature. I imagined my professors to be full of wisdom and enthusiasm, kind of like Mr. Keating's from the film Dead Poet Society. Holy fuck how wrong I was, boys. I recall very early on, like my first week there, walking through campus one evening, looking around at my fellow students, and it just hit me, oh my god, I have been fucking duped. I was surrounded by a bunch of literal retards. And don't get me wrong, boys, like I fully include myself here too. And I'm not saying, you know, everyone there was a complete retard. Of course there were some smart kids, but the thing is, I was under some delusion that, you know, university students were mature, responsible adults, but half of these kids literally looked like fucking 70 IQ drug dealers. And that's because they probably were, as colleges will literally accept anyone nowadays. Remember, the modern college or university, however you want to call it, exists for one reason: to make money. They're run as businesses, not schools. Profits come first and education second. The person who benefits most from college is not the students, it's the banks and institutions. Most university students aren't there, you know, following their dreams and pursuit of higher education and all that bullshit. They're mostly there for the sole reason of prolonging childhood and avoiding the responsibilities of adult life. In my experience, most people just sit around all day, scrolling on their phones or playing video games, until the clock hits like 9 p.m, which means that it's time to go out drinking. Degeneracy is prevalent in every aspect of university life. Everyone is getting drunk, everyone is taking drugs, little 18-year-old girls are getting absolutely ran through, and STDs are spread left, right and centre. It's fucking sickening stuff, honestly. I remember this one time, boys, and this story still upsets me to this day. Like, it's genuinely depressing. Anyways, I remember once being at some college house party, and there was this girl that lived in the house that the party was being held in, and she was quite attractive, but she was first year, probably 18 years old, and she was surrounded by a bunch of guys, obviously trying to hit on her and stuff. And I remember one of these guys offering her what I assume is like cocaine or ketamine, something like that, and this girl was already extremely drunk. Right? And I remember this one guy offering her these drugs and stuff. They had laid out the drug on a line on the table, and she was just about to consume it, like she was going to sniff it or whatever. And I remember seeing her phone screensaver. The screensaver on her phone, laying beside the fucking table full of drugs, was this older man with like an oxygen mask and everything on him in like a hospital bed, and her beside him giving him a hug. And then, I mean, after she done the drugs and everything, I was just kind of there. I wasn't really engaging with anyone. I recall how she was telling other people when they were asking, oh, who's that in your screensaver? She was like, oh, that's my dad. That's my dad. He's like, he's very sick. And then some guy took her upstairs and presumably fucking railed her. And I know that's kind of not nice to say, but man, it just depressed me so much. Like, here is this girl, 18 years old, still a fucking child basically. Her dad's at home, she's left home, come to university. Her dad's at home probably thinking, oh, I wonder what my little angel is up to tonight. Probably, early night reading her books or whatever. He obviously still sees her as his little girl, but here she is, taking drugs, extremely drunk, and sleeping with random guys. It was so fucking depressing, boys, honestly. I mean, if the parents of college students saw what their kids were actually doing, then these universities would probably go bankrupt, because there's no way any parents would dare send their kids there. University is supposed to be an investment, right? You put money in to get something out. A while back, I bought a new MacBook Pro for like £3,000. I bought it with the expectation that it would be reliable, that it would boost my productivity, and that it would help me grow my online business. I bought the MacBook expecting it to be worth more than the money I paid for it, if that makes sense. Now, if I take this same mindset and apply it to university, I got fucking scammed. I paid £10,000 per year in tuition fees, and what did I get in return? I got disengaged professors who would read useless information off a PowerPoint slideshow like a few times a week. I didn't learn any real skills whatsoever, just useless little snippets of information that I immediately forgot as soon as the class was over. I did reluctantly finish off all 3 years of my degree, graduating with a first class honours, which is basically the best grade that you can get. Now, throughout the entire 3 years I was there, my professors would constantly tell my class that students graduating from our class, from our degree, would walk right into some great job with a starting salary of like £35,000 a year, which is above average. But it didn't take me long to realise that this was fucking bullshit too. For starters, jobs were extremely scarce. There really weren't too many companies wanting to hire a technical engineer for their fucking TV studio. In retrospect, this is partly my fault for choosing such a useless degree. However, I was bombarded by an onslaught of lies by the university, telling me that, the skill set from this degree was, in extremely high demand. This seems to be like a universal thing. This is not just because my degree was shit. Like, everyone that I know that went to university, 99% have really struggled getting a job afterwards, and they've all told me like, oh, my professors, my university told me that I would just walk into a fucking job and start earning like £3 gazillion a fucking month or some shit. So it's not just something I experienced. Also, something that not many people seem to talk about is the fact that, by going to college and getting a degree, you're supposed to have a higher paying job than those who didn't go to college and who don't have a degree. Isn't that the entire point? And when looking for jobs to apply for, I immediately noticed that the salaries were terrible, like basically minimum wage. My professors told me, oh, you know, you'll be making fucking 3 gazillion pound a year, but in reality it was more like 17,000 to 20,000 pounds per year. 17,000 to 20,000 pound per year with a degree. Like, boys, medieval peasants got paid more than this, honestly. 2020 fucking 6, what can you do with that money per year? It's terrible. And take into account too that all of these jobs make you move to some shithole fucking city that costs a fortune just to live in some skimpy fucking 1-bedroom apartment. Like a few years ago, boys, I got in contact with this kid who used to be in my class back in university, and he told me after like 3 years of looking for a job, he finally got one with his degree. He was working 40 hours per week for £18,200 per year. Again, 3 years in university and £30,000 in debt. What a scam. Now, I myself actually did end up getting offered a job before I even graduated. Well done to me, am I right, boys? However, it was a 0-hour contract with absolutely no benefits. I accepted anyway because, quite frankly, I had no other options. And like I mentioned in my first video on this channel, this job was diabolical. The boss was a man who wore makeup and a dress. There was no training. It literally paid less than minimum wage, and I was working 10-hour shifts. Safe to say I quit that shit 3 days in. In the past, going to college and getting a degree was like a guaranteed path to a successful middle class life. But nowadays, that's just not the case, boys. Degree inflation, you know, as more and more degrees are printed and handed out every year, the more and more worthless they become, has made it so even that homeless crackhead holding a fucking dead pigeon at the side of the street probably has like a bachelor's degree in communications or something like that. The more abundant something is, the less valuable it becomes. It's just common sense, boys. And with trades being in such high demand these days, along with the endless opportunities that the internet provides us to make money online, it's rendered university as an outdated waste of time and money for most people. Of course, schools will still push this narrative that to succeed in life you need to go to college and get a degree. Your parents are still gonna say, look son, a degree will be a priceless asset to get you into a great company that will provide you with an excellent retirement plan. But you gotta understand, boys, that these are agents of the fucking system, whether they know it or not. Although university used to be a viable path like 40 years ago, for like 99% of people nowadays, going to college won't make your life better. Instead, it acts as a hindrance to a good life. It'll waste years of your youth and will entrap you in debt from an early age, making you a slave to the system forever. Although I was absolutely scammed by my university, and although I just cannot recommend it to anyone unless you have, you know, a very specific career in mind that requires a degree, doctor, lawyer, fucking aerospace engineer for example, I myself don't regret going to college, and I'll tell you why. Because it showed me the life I didn't want to have and the person that I didn't want to be. It gave me the motivation to start an online business, to be my own boss and have complete control over my own life. It's now been over 4 years since I graduated college. I'm making thousands of pounds every month on my laptop and have total time and location freedom. This is something I just would not have been able to achieve if it wasn't for the slap in the face that my college experience gave me. There's a famous quote, boys, and it goes something like this: you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. Anyways, boys, take it easy. Thanks for watching.